We are back on the Morgan Streetman Show. Time to go out there like we normally do, but there are always things in there, as in our country, that we can look at that are just crazy happenings.
Well, there are, and of course we just came through the period of the World Economic Forum's annual meeting in Davos, Switzerland, and there are a number of interesting things that came out of that meeting. Of course, we see the continued implementation of the Great Reset, which even Klaus Schwab himself told us is directly related to the COVID crisis, that the COVID crisis was the vehicle through which the members of the World Economic Forum, which, remember, these are all of the most important, richest people in the world. We can put quotes around most important. Certainly, if you're asking them who the most important are, then this is the most important group of people in the world. And if you're asking us, the regular people, it's pretty darn important, too, because of the amount of power that these people hold and the kind of decisions that they want to make about our future on this planet. And that's really what we want to focus on today, because we've got some clips from somebody who is very important to the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab. Some people call him Klaus Schwab's guru. He's certainly one of the leading intellectual thinkers behind this concept of the Great Reset and behind what the World Economic Forum is trying to do. But this is not a new concept. I also need to tell you that, lest you think this is something new that's just arisen from somewhere, sort of a sign of the times. No. People have been talking about this for decades. You're going back into the 70s, they were talking about how we need to control actually go back to the 60s and even in the 50s. And back then, they needed to control the population, because we were having some kind of an ice age that was supposed to be upcoming. Remember, we've done that story for you before, and we need to put the seeds in a seed vault because the world's about to freeze. Well, then when they saw it wasn't freezing, we flipped over to the world's on fire and global warming, and it's all because we have too many people, and we're not going to have enough food, and there's too much pollution, and so what we need to do is control the population. And, of course, you remember the Georgia Guidestones that are somewhere outside of Atlanta in Georgia, supposedly maybe put up by Ted Turner because he had the motive and it was right in line with his philosophy. Remember, he was a big proponent of the UN and globalization. The Georgia Guidestone says that they need to maintain the world population at 500 million or less, which, of course, what are we? I think we're right around 7 billion, 7.5 billion right now, something in that range. I mean, somewhere between 6 and 8, say. So we're a little bit over the number there. What are they going to do to thin out the herd? Well, there's a guy now. He's a professor from Israel, Yuval Noah Harari, and he styles himself, really, he's an expert at everything, if you want to ask him. He's a historian, a philosopher, and a best-selling author. Now, he claims to have sold over 40 million copies of his books in 65 languages, and he claims to be, and I'm reading from his webpage, he claims to be considered one of the world's most influential public intellectuals today. Boy, I should put that on my website. Imagine being able to say that about yourself. I am one of the world's most influential public intellectuals today. Well, he and his husband actually founded this Sapienship social impact company, they call it. And through some of these efforts and others, he came to the attention of the World Economic Forum and, of course, spoke there about the future of humanity in 2020 and 2018 both. Now, here are some clips from what he has to say about the future of humanity, about the importance of the individual, about people. And I'm being a little sarcastic when I say the importance of the individual, because you need to listen closely here. You're not going to believe some of the things he says, folks, about, what are we going to do with you and me?
The biggest question maybe in economics and politics of the coming decades will be what to do with all these useless people.
All these useless people. Who do you think that is? That's me and you. If you're listening to this, you're one of the people he's talking about.
Problem is more boredom and what to do with them and how will they find some sense of meaning in life when they are basically meaningless, worthless.
Listen to that. All these useless people, how are they going to find some meaning in life when they're basically worthless? You bunch of useless eaters. The only people that matter in this world are billionaires, right? And if you're not a billionaire or one of the people they've selected to serve themselves, you don't matter. Like this guy, Yuval Noah Harari. I'm sure he's not a billionaire yet, but he's one of the people they have selected to serve themselves. And so he matters. and Klaus Schwab matters, and Jeff Bezos matters, and Elon Musk even matters. But you and me, we don't matter. We're worthless, and what are they going to do with us? And listen to, as he goes on to describe what his best idea of what to do with all these worthless people is.
My best guess at present is a combination of drugs and computer games as a solution for more. It's already happening. Under different titles, different headings, you see more and more people spending more and more time or solving their inner problems with drugs and computer games, both legal drugs and illegal drugs. You look at Japan today, and Japan is maybe 20 years ahead of the world in everything, and you see all these new social phenomenon of people having relationships with virtual spouses. And you have people who never leave the house and just live through computers. I think once you're superfluous, you don't have power. Again, we are used to the age of the masses of the 19th and 20th century, where you saw all these successful, massive uprisings, revolutions, revolts. So we are used to thinking about the masses as powerful. But this is basically a 19th century, a 20th century phenomenon. I don't think that the masses, even if they somehow organize themselves, stand much of a chance. We are not in Russia of 1917.
The masses don't stand much of a chance against who? Against the billionaire class? I mean, can you believe what this guy's saying? I'm going to try to finish out the clip. I don't think we quite got time, but we're going to keep it rolling here.
Or in 19th century Europe. What we're talking about now is like a second industrial revolution, but the product this time will not be textiles or machines or vehicles or even weapons. The product this time will be humans themselves. We are basically learning to produce bodies and minds. Bodies and minds are going to be, I think, the two main products of the next wave of all these changes. That is optional. Again, and if you think about it from the viewpoint of the poor, it looks terrible because throughout history, death was the great equalizer.
Listen to this.
The big consolation of the poor throughout history was that, okay, these rich people, they have it good, but they're going to die just like me. But think about a world, say, in 50 years, 100 years, where the poor people continue to die, but the rich people, in addition to all the other things they also get exemption from death. The new attitude, I think, is to treat old age and death as technical problems, no different in essence than any other disease. It's like cancer, it's like Alzheimer, it's like tuberculosis.
Can you believe what these people are talking about? The rich now are not going to die. So your consolation for being poor was, hey, at least those rich people are going to die one day. They're going to take that away from you now. Folks, I'm Morgan Streetman. Thanks for joining us. That's the way I see it. Thank you for listening to the Morgan Streetman Show. We hope you enjoyed what you heard, and if you did, please click like and subscribe to help us out. And remember that we recommend that you exercise your brain at least once a week.